Hello everyone, and today I bring you with a different kind of video. I'm going to do a guide to G-Fest. I have been there 3 times now, once at the Crown and twice at the Hyatt where it now resides. At least as of, this year. This year it's happening July 11th to the 13th, and it's in Rosemont, Illinois. So, this video is going to be more of like kind of like a podcast, I guess. I'm just going to be talking, not much to see with the video, but if you want to hear me just talk about, my personal experiences with G-Fest, how I feel about certain things at G-Fest, and that kind of stuff, and just tips for people, who've never been. So, let's get started. I think, of course, when people think of G-Fest and, go to G-Fest, the main thing they're thinking of is more than likely the dealer's room, which I will say the dealer's room is something. Every single time I go in there, I'm still surprised. It's like I've never seen it before, but I know I have. It's just you never see so many, kaiju related merch and just things in one place other than, here, at least in America anyway. So basically just some tips. My first tip for that is, well, this is kind of general, but mainly matters to the dealer's room. Definitely get your money with cash before going to the convention. Now, the reason for this is because some good amount of the dealers don't use card. Most of them do, but not all of them. And even for the ones that do use card or have that option to, I think cash is a good way to do it, just because they're definitely more willing to pull down the prices a little bit for the figures if you pay cash, and that's very very useful. And of course, like I said, some of the vendors do not use card because they're smaller vendors and stuff like that. And the reason why you want to get it beforehand is because, trust me, the ATMs will be gone. All the money will be gone on the ATMs very fast. Trust me. Another thing is that if you want to be the first person in the dealer room, all I'm going to say is good luck. People, and I've seen videos of this online and such, will sleep overnight in line to be the first people at the vendor's room at G-Fest. Now, if that's kind of your thing and you want to do that, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not doing that. But you can if you want to. I don't recommend it because, you'll miss a lot. And, the movies I like to pick, which I'll talk about a little later. But, trust me, there's other things you could do. It's probably not worth it, but if you want to, all the power to you. But yeah, trust me, if you don't know, now you know that you're probably not going to be the first person at G-Fest going in the vendor's room. Another thing is, it's not the best idea to buy, the newer figures in the vendor's room. It's not terrible. If you want to get your vinyls, like your movie monster series and stuff like that. I think definitely price wise, Beast of the East Collectibles is probably the best to do that. That's a great vendor for that. You might find some other ones at decent prices as well, but just be wary because a lot of the time they can be a bit overpriced with a lot of the places. But it's fine. I'm just saying be careful on that. And if you do want to buy the newer figures, but there's also just so many things you won't see in other places though that I feel like you'd miss out more on if you were to spend your money on you know, the newer figures, because there's just so many older, more rare items there. Of course, they're more expensive for the most part, but you know, and you know, like also, if you want to know like how much money you want to bring, that's really up to you. If I'm gonna be honest, it really depends, because you know, anyone who collects Godzilla figures know they're expensive. But it also is like, what do you want to buy? You know, because you know, if you want to get those SH Monstars, you know, they're going to be over $100, maybe even more, and you know, stuff like that. But if you want to get more Bandai, like I was saying, you know, those are what, you know, usually, unless you're trying to get an older or rare one, you know, probably get some of those for like 25, 30, depending, again, on how old the one is you're looking for. But you know, it really depends on what you want. Plus, you know, there's food. Speaking of food options, at the hotel, the Hyatt, they do have this restaurant there. I'm not entirely sure too much. I don't think I've really been myself, but there is a restaurant there. They also have a morning kind of buffet kind of thing. You know, they make omelets, which they made them so fast when I had it. Like, I still talk about how fast they made those omelets. It's crazy, but very good. And that, you know, they have a little discount, you know, for people who go to G-Fest. I don't know how much of a discount it really is, but they say it's a discount. One thing about the hotel, though, the Hyatt, if you are staying there, is the hotel rooms, unless they added them this year, but I doubt it, there's no mini fridge or fridge. There's only a drink fridge, which apparently only keeps your drinks cold. I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard of that until I went here. But yeah, that is something to keep in mind. So like, don't bring something that, you know, needs to be refrigerated. You're not gonna have somewhere to put it. About the other hotels, I'm not entirely sure. If you haven't got your hotel tickets yet, this late it's probably gone, I'm gonna say. I mean, I know the G-Fest website says, you know, the Hyatt Regency's gone, but you know, you could try and ask, but I'm gonna be honest, they're probably gone by now. But you know, there are many other hotels in the area that even, you know, give some, you know, deals for G-Fest. If you look on the website, it tells you which hotels do that. So check that out. But honestly, you should probably already have your tickets by now, because like I said, it's been like a little bit over a week. So you should probably have had them by now, but yeah. So another thing when it comes to G-Fest is, of course, the Pickwick movies. Now, if I remember correctly, for the double feature movie, which is on Thursday, the day before G-Fest, they have, you know, they have a morning movies, not morning, like more afternoon, early afternoon movies, and then later night movies. So this year for the earlier ones, they're showing Frankenstein Conquers the World and War of the Gargantuas. So if you want to see that, that's kind of cool. And then later, they are showing Godzilla vs. Destroya and Terror of Mechagodzilla, because it's Terror of Mechagodzilla's 50th anniversary, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. It's also in Gears' 70th anniversary, so happy birthday to Gears, by the way. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, those were 20 each. I'm pretty sure it's also... Yeah, 20 about each, I'm pretty sure. I don't fully remember the ones for the Friday and Saturday movies, which this year it's going to be Godzilla vs. Mechagearus on Friday, and then on Saturday they are showing Godzilla King of the Monsters, the 2019 one. So, you know, some honestly pretty great movies, you know. I love Godzilla vs. Mechagearus, so I'm excited to hopefully go and see it, yeah. You know, that's the Pickwick. It's a great movie theater, though, by the way, because of how big it is. It's like, it's older fashioned, so it's really nice to see that as well. Because, you know, there's not a lot of older fashioned movie theaters with that kind of, you know, it's one big room, hundreds of people carrying. You know, it's the smaller ones, but you know what I mean. So the next thing I want to talk about is the special guest where you could get signatures. I don't think they brought up prices yet, but usually it's different prices for each person. You know, you could get them sign your figures and stuff like that. The main thing I want to talk about, though, is apparently, well, not apparently, but last year a lot of people had a hard time finding it. And from what I've seen online, apparently it was on the second floor of the Hyatt. It was the only thing on the second floor that had to do anything with G-Fest, and apparently it wasn't on the map. So I don't know if it's going to be in the same room this year, because I remember last year was in more the basement floor, the year before that. I don't know why they moved it, but I don't know if it's going to be in the same place as last year, but if it is, I've heard it's on the second floor. Just thought to put that out there. You know, another thing is the costume contest. If you want to get into the room for the costume contest, honestly, the line does get pretty long. I remember I got in last year, and it was probably, it went through the entire floor. And I got fairly in the more of like the back of the line. Like I didn't get in there instantly, and I still made it into the room. But if you don't want to be in the room, they also, if I remember correctly, they the costume contest in the room where they show the different movies. If I remember correctly, unless they don't anymore, but I remember they did do that before. So if you want to see it there, you can as well. You know, speaking of that room, where they show all the different movies, it's nice. You know, that's also you know, they show a lot of the nice movies. I know the first one they're showing this year is Gamera the Invincible, which is pretty cool. Because, you know, I love Gamera personally, so that's nice. But you know, you can just sit there and relax. It's a good place to just sit down as well. Because there are a decent amount of seats at G-Fest, unless you're in the dealer's room. Then, well, oh boy. But there was some pretty decent place, but that's a pretty good one to sit in as well. I just thought to bring that up. Yeah. Another thing this year is apparently they're doing something related to Ultraman. A lot of Ultraman related stuff. Something about meets and greets and, you know, for the different characters and stuff like that. I don't know much about that because they haven't done it before. At least to my knowledge, or at least when I've been, they haven't, so I don't have much to say, but it's kind of cool they're doing some meet and greets and different stuff with, you know, Ultraman. Just thought to bring that up. Another thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that they actually now have two kind of quote-unquote dealer rooms. There's the dealer room that I talked about earlier, and there's also an art room where they have, not art room, but like, where they have a lot of artists and, you know, sculptors and stuff like that, which is also pretty cool to check out. I think it's called not Kaiju, but Kaiju Island, was it? And then the other one's Kaiju World, I think is what it was called. Check that out as well, pretty cool. Speaking of different art kind of stuff, the art room and model room are also so amazing. You gotta check it out. There are some amazing sculpts every year. You know, just every year I just go in, look, and it never disappoints. It never disappoints. You know, the contests are also, they put the winner of the contest online, so, and I'm not entirely sure what you win. But, you know, it's pretty cool that they have that. Definitely something to, you know, do and to check out. So, yeah. If we're going to go on this, continue with the contest, one I would like to personally talk about is the Godzilla Save the Earth contest, which I like to do, which is very fun. They haven't put up the sign-ups yet for some reason online, which I don't understand, but hopefully they will be up soon. They'll be on the website when they do. Basically, you know, the two biggest games in the Mecha GRK, which I'll talk about, I guess, in, you know, the same kind of time now. It's one of my personal favorite places at G-Fest. The two biggest games are Gigabash and Save the Earth for sure, but they like the Galloping Ghost every year brings their the Godzilla cabinet, which is, to my knowledge, the only Godzilla cabinet that's really here in the US states. So it's pretty cool to play that, you know, especially like when you don't live around Chicago, to go to the Galloping Ghost a lot. And then, you know, they just have so many cool different things in there. But of course, the contests are great. You know, when I did it last year, they had it where it was single elimination, which I think they've done losers bracket before, because how they worded it, it was like, we don't have time to do a losers bracket this year, so maybe they'll do a losers bracket. I don't know. I also am pretty sure that they change the map every year. Last year we did Osaka, but like if you look online, you know, there'll be older videos showing different maps and everything. So maybe there'll be a different this year. I don't know. I'll have to. Maybe I'll make up a follow-up video just talking about the competition and stuff. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I know that the people who win that, I think they win like some kind of figures, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they win some kind of figures or something. I don't know. I'll have to ask. But you know, that's also pretty cool. And you got to meet a lot of cool people doing that tournament as well. Yeah. So another thing I just want to mention is, you know, the kind of area. There's a lot of good food options. There's a pizza place as well, right across from the Hyatt, like right there as well. Something else I forgot to mention about food earlier is that at least the past couple of years they had this kind of like these different kind of food items that were named after the different like Godzilla, Ultraman, Kaiju monsters. Like a couple I remember, like they had like a Ultraman Jack cheeseburger, which was like Kobe Jack cheese, like Ultraman Kobe Jack cheeseburger, Minya cheeseburger. I think there was like a Godzilla teriyaki chicken, and I think it was like named after Hedorah. I forgot exactly what it was, but it was like they just like all these different meats put together to make it like Hedorah, you know, quote unquote, which is, that's kind of funny. You know, definitely not bad food at all. But, you know, I know some people don't like it, so, you know, if you want to bring some extra snacks, well, that's always good as well. And now, of course, always water to bring. Yeah. So, you know, but it's very fun going to G-Fest with all that kind of stuff. Like something new this year, which I forgot to mention a little bit earlier, was I see something like on the map where it's it says something about a pinball room. I'm not sure what that is, but apparently there's going to be some kind of pinball room this year, which seems kind of cool. And it does seem to be across the hall from the Mecha G Arcade, the arcade kind of portion, at least from what the map looks like. So that looks like it's going to be pretty cool as well. I'm quite excited about that. Yeah. You know, there's so many different things to do at G-Fest as well. So, you know, this was just a couple things I wanted to talk about. You know, I mean, you know, I could go on and on and on about, you know, the different panels, which you should definitely probably attend some. You know, there's some cool ones going on and just different stuff like that. You know, I just wanted to talk about it. So, yeah. That is the video. One other thing to mention, really quickly. I'm sorry, I forgot about this. There's a place called Minya's Place for when, you know, the little kids, which is also pretty cool. It's not a daycare, I do know. Like, you can't leave, you know, the kids there if you have any that you're going with. But yeah, that's, you know, it's pretty cool. I've just poked my head in there to see, you know, what's it about. It's some arts and crafts kind of stuff, and you know, that's cool. Anyway, now I'm actually going to be finishing the video. That is all I have to say. I hope I could help any of you out with any of your, you know, like thoughts on, you know, just opinions and stuff like that, just to talk about it. Yeah. So if you have any other questions about G-Fest, just put in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer. I know this wasn't much of a video, more of me just talking, but, you know, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to be seeing you all at G-Fest. Yeah. Goodbye.